So let's play a little game called What Do These Things Have in Common? Here we go: sugar, oil, saturated fat, salt, stress, over the counter cold and flu medication, decongestants, ibuprofen, salt. What do these have in common? They all cause high blood pressure. Now, as I was thinking about this topic today and thinking about one of the most silent killers that is prevalent amongst us, I was thinking about all the stories we've been told about this lifestyle disease, high blood pressure. And as I was thinking about this, I was really reflecting on how many people, especially people of color, especially people in marginalized communities, literally perish from high blood pressure. I was also thinking about how unfortunately so many people take it for granted, meaning people live 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years literally taking medication for high blood pressure. So what we're about to talk about today is so important to me. Let me tell you guys where I am right now. First of all, I'm bundled up. As you can see, I got my hat on, I got my hoodie on, my neck pulled up to my neck to my chin, and I got my hot tea because we always do on a Monday morning. And y'all, I'm here in Atlanta, and it is colder than what was expected here in Atlanta. The high today is only 67 degrees, and it's 10 a.m. here, and so it's not even 67 yet. It's like in the 50s, and I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it here inside of the hotel. But the reason I tell you that is because part of the reason I'm here in Atlanta is because just yesterday, I had the pleasure of speaking at New Life Presbyterian Church. And we were speaking on the panel, myself, Jackie Glass, Brandy Harvey, and we were talking to the audience about these lifestyle conditions and these lifestyle diseases. And we were talking about some of the most prevalent conditions that disproportionately impact marginalized communities and communities of color. And of course, high blood pressure is one of those conditions. And as we're having this conversation, this wonderful panel conversation, we're talking about, the belief that it is okay to live with these conditions for years, mostly because we've seen so many people close to us live with things like high blood pressure and high cholesterol for years. Many of us know someone, if it's not ourselves, who are dealing with high blood pressure. And we don't even blink an eye. Like, we don't even get uncomfortable around the subject, right? And so I wanted to talk about high blood pressure today because it is truly a silent killer. So good morning and welcome back to Monday Morning Keynote with yours truly, Coach Lisa A. Smith. And we're talking about no pills and no pressure. How can I protect myself and, most importantly, my arteries to ensure that I don't become one of the millions of people in the world who are living with high blood pressure for years? What up, y'all? Welcome back. I see y'all already fully active in the chat. What's up, Tamika? What's up, Stacy? What's up, Lachey? What's up, Kiwi? What y'all sipping on? Let me hear it real quick, because when we talk about common subjects like this, sometimes it can, information about things like high blood pressure can go in one ear and out the other because it is so ubiquitous. It is such a common disease that we take it for granted. Like, a lot of us underestimate the seriousness of high blood pressure. And I know I ain't lying, because many people, by the time they come into our programs and do our 30-day vegan challenge, they like, oh, I don't have high blood pressure for 20 years. Oh, I was diagnosed in my 20s. I was diagnosed in my 30s. And so I know for many of us, we take it for granted. And so for many of you today, I am going to remind you of why this subject is so important. And for others of you, I'm going to help you to prevent it. So what we sipping on, I got my tea, y'all. My mugs is at home. I need a mug carrier. So when I'm on the road, I got to use these disposable cups. But I bought my own tea bag because who they think they talking to, right? And so I got my own tea bag. I'm sipping on black tea today. What y'all sipping on today? Wanda said hot lemon water. You better flush the system and detox, y'all. I've already had my water this morning. What up, Coach Carmel? Cinnamon tea. Tamika said drinking warm lemon water. Vision speaks. Good morning, Grace. Hey, I'm Shanti Grace. Key lime tea. Okay, Stacy, I love it. So we sipping good, y'all. We sipping good today. Staying hydrated, keeping it medicinal. Like I said, I don't know where y'all are, but here in Atlanta, it is 67. It's the high today, and we barely done crossed 50 so far. So I feel a little nip here in my hotel room. Okay, April said homemade ginger, lemon, hot water, and honey. Okay, April. Okay, right. You ain't got to put us to shame. All right, the rest of us just got water in the tea bag. April showing off, y'all. I love it. Okay, so let me tell you something. I was talking to my bestie recently, right? And so my bestie, he has he has some nasal challenges sometimes. And so that means that oftentimes one side of his passage is like clogged up, right? And so I don't know if it's a deviated septum or whatever it's called or whatever it is, but for years, he has had nasal and congestion issues in his nasal passages. And so he told me that for years, in order to like breathe clearly and sleep better, because one side of his nose was always felt stuffed up, he would take, that spray that you what is it called? A nasal decongestant. He will spray it up his nose every day so that he could sleep better. And I was like, man, that's interesting. You had to do that. He was like, yeah, like I was using it every day because I would get relief instantly. And it would help me to breathe throughout the day, and it would help me to sleep at night. And I was like, man, that's crazy. And I was like, how long did you use that? And he's like, I used it for almost a decade. Now, here's the shocking part for me, right? So this is an over-the-counter nasal decongestant that anybody can buy. Very, very popular brand. And he said, as a result of using this nasal decongestant for nearly a decade, I got diagnosed with high blood pressure. And I was like, what? Right? It was so shocking to me. He got diagnosed with high blood pressure. And he said once he stopped using it, he said it was almost like an addiction because he got used to getting that instant relief every time he would use it. He said, but once his blood pressure started going up, and he said, and it says right on the front of the package that may cause high blood pressure. So it's not even a secret. They are very, very open about a side effect of using this nasal decongestion is high blood pressure. And so he said he realized that he needed to stop taking it. So he just went cold turkey one day and hasn't went back to it. And it's been years now. But for nearly a decade, he was taking this nasal decongestant. Now, the reason I tell this story is because so many people, when we hear things like high blood pressure, we usually think one of two causes, right? We usually either think an unhealthy lifestyle like diet, overweight, don't exercise, or we think genetics. Tell me if I'm lying, y'all. When y'all hear high blood pressure, you usually think the cause is somebody who's just not putting their health first, or it's their DNA, it's their gene pool, right? But I think less rarely do we talk about high blood pressure being caused by some other habits many of us have, which is over the counter drugs. So just like he was using this decongestant, other things that we can buy literally over the counter that causes high blood pressure is things like ibuprofen, right? Ibuprofen that many of us keep in our cabinets, in our bags on a regular basis. I have ibuprofen. I don't use it often, but I even have it, right? We think about things like cold and flu medicine, side effects, high blood pressure, because it is also a decongestant. So when we think about some of these things, we never even consider, we just take the stuff because we just want the relief, right? We just want the relief. But then, of course, our diet alone, and even with our diet, our understanding of high blood pressure is very, very limited. What's the one thing we know causes high blood pressure in our diet? What's the major thing that people typically attribute high blood pressure to in our diet? Put it in the chat, y'all. And we usually take that out. If we're trying to lower our blood pressure, we just kind of focus on one dietary thing typically. And so we all know what that is exactly, which is salt. which is salt. And so when it comes to high blood pressure, we usually think of diet and lifestyle, or we think of genetics. And even when we think of diet and lifestyle, we really only focus on salt and don't consider other things that we eat, right? And so what we don't understand, and here's the first thing that I want to drive home today as we talk about this high blood pressure in our lifestyle disease series, is that it is not just salt. It is not just the lack of prioritizing our diet and our exercise. It is not just being overweight, and it is not just genetics. So, what I would love to do is reinstate the urgency that some of us have disregarded when it comes to high blood pressure. This stuff is serious, and it's really called the silent killer for a reason, because most people, many people, it's estimated that over 40 million people have high blood pressure and don't even know it, because literally there are rarely any symptoms that we recognize, right? And so sometimes we don't know we have blood pressure, for many of us, until it's too late, because blood pressure is a precursor to a heart attack, the number one killer in the country. Not heart attacks, but heart disease, right? It's also a precursor to a potential stroke, right? And high blood pressure is also a precursor to several other conditions and diseases. And because we don't necessarily attribute it to all of those things, and because it's technically silent, right? There's not a whole lot that happens when you have high blood pressure. And so it often has to come with a diagnosis. And so as a result, we don't take it as serious. But I want people to know that it's not just what you're eating. It's not just the absence of exercise that increases your risk of this disease. It's not just being overweight that increases your risk of this disease. It's not just your genetics, right, that increases the risk of this disease, but literally you can be taking something like a nasal decongestion every day for nearly a decade and develop high blood pressure. You can be a person whose immune system is compromised, so you get colds and sniffles quite often. So you keep a cabinet full of cold and flu medicine, not realizing that a side effect is high blood pressure. You could be a person that is experiencing chronic aches and pains. So you keep things like anti-inflammatory drugs like ibuprofen in your cabinet. These are everyday things that are in our household that literally raises blood pressure. So first things first, guys, this is serious, more serious than we've given it credit for. And here's the other thing: because there are a plethora of drugs and medications that can be prescribed for high blood pressure, many of us don't take it as serious because there is a system for managing it. One of the things we talked about at New Life Presbyterian Church in Atlanta yesterday, I told them on stage how one of the things that keeps us sick is because we've adopted a management mentality. A management mentality. So many of us, when we are unfortunately diagnosed with something like high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes or high cholesterol, things that are unfortunately very common, especially in America, because there has been years and decades of science and pharmaceutical companies formulating drugs for us when we have these conditions, we have adopted this idea that it's safe to manage these conditions for years. And what I want you guys to know is that it is not safe to manage these conditions. As a matter of fact, the blood pressure medications themselves, like the beta blockers, like these blood pressure medications themselves, have side effects, right? And when you are taking the medications for years, those can lead to other conditions. Like you got like light work stuff like dizziness, nausea, constipation that can accompany blood pressure medications, right? All the way to things that you have to be hospitalized for. But none of this registers as urgent for us because so many people have high blood pressure that it doesn't feel like it's that bad. Okay? So before I go into the dietary side of this and how blood pressure could really kill us over time and be the cause of death for a lot of us, I want you guys to understand the urgency. So let's reinstate the urgency of living with this condition, Having high blood pressure should not be taken lightly. It should not be something that we settle on just managing. We want it to be a signal that our lifestyle needs some adjustments. And so when we get these diagnoses, we have to stop looking at, well, what pill do I need to take? What time of day do I need to take it? What should the dosage be? And we should really say, oh, thank you, body, for sending me a signal that there are some habits that I have gotten away from that have inevitably caused my arteries to be narrow. And let me get back on track and work expeditiously as hard as possible to eliminate this condition. Nothing should be taken lightly. Nothing should be taken lightly. Nothing should be taken lightly. The number one cause of death in the US is heart disease. High blood pressure is the first red flag that you have a significantly increased probability of having heart disease and dying of a heart attack or stroke. Heart disease is a red flag. Y'all put red flag in the chat real quick because I need to make sure we get it. Like we not taking it like it's a red flag. Like, let's say you and your body are in a relationship. Now, y'all know how we feel about red flags in a relationship, do we not? We be like, oh, buddy don't be texting back on time, red flag. Oh, buddy don't never want to make plans, want me to do everything, red flag. Oh, buddy don't have a good relationship with his mama, red flag. Oh, sis don't take care of herself, red flag. Oh, she like drama and she always like to keep things going because that's her sign of showing love, red flag. Y'all love pointing out red flags in all these other relationships. But when it comes to your relationship with your body be like blood pressure, red flag, cholesterol, red flag, headaches, red flag, constipation, red flag, and you just sit in a relationship like, what? I don't see nothing. I don't see, that's y'all. Blood pressure, red flag been raised for 20 years. You like, what? But I don't what? So at what point is the red flag problem? Or at what point are we going to cross the line into our relationship with our body and not just with our partners? Huh? Cause look, I don't know about y'all friends, but my friends that be dating, like they let a red flag lead to no second date real quick. Like, no, he ain't say what I needed him to say on the first date. Like it be first date red flags and they ghosting cats. Like I'm good on that. But y'all go to the doctor and they tell you pre-hypertensive and they tell you or you fully hypertensive and you be like, oh, okay, anyway, I got lunch at noon. When it's gonna be over? I got a whole seafood boil waiting on me. Like mind you, your body done gave you 18 red flags. What is you doing? Okay, so we need to be better. Okay, so let me teach this in terms that most of us understand. You are in a relationship with your body, and high blood pressure is a red flag. Hmm. Okay, now don't y'all clock off now. Don't make me lean in. Don't y'all clock off. This is a red flag. So first things first, this is more urgent. This is more urgent than what most of us give it credit for. Okay. This is not a yellow flag. This is not one in a possible. Maybe if we make these adjustments, we can make it work. No. High blood pressure is meant to be eliminated. Okay, here's the next thing I need you to know. Now, in our run up to the next 30-day vegan salt, oil, and sugar free challenge, I want to explain to you why taking a plant based approach, especially one that is SOS free, salt, oil, and sugar, is going to give you one of the best shots at completely eliminating high blood pressure. Now, before I get into the dietary side of this, let me address the genetic argument, okay? Because I know for a lot of us, like there's just a belief that this runs in my family. And when we adopt this runs in my family, that mindset, we just let ourselves off the hook. We're just like, look, my mom and my dad had high blood pressure. So this is just something that runs in my family. And so not only do we normalize it, we expect it. Now that's wild. I was literally talking to some individuals at the church yesterday that I spoke at, and they were like I'm just like my family died of this, so I know that's coming for me. Like there's a mindset that if I watch my grandma, my auntie, my cousins, my mom and my dad really have this condition, that it's on its way to me. Some of us have already married the disease before it got to our door. That's wild. That's wild. So let me address the genetic code so you can stop inviting disease into your future, okay? So here's what you guys need to understand about genetics. Genetics absolutely matter. You are not wrong. Genetics absolutely informs our medical future. Okay, it informs it. It doesn't dictate it. It doesn't write the future, but it does inform the future. Okay, so you're right. Genetics does play a role. Here's where you're wrong: the size of the role it plays. So, does genetics matter when it comes to me having something like high blood pressure? Unequivocally, yes. Where you've been misinformed is the size of that role. Genetics plays a 10% or less, and it's closer to the single digits. Genetics plays a 10% role or less when it comes to high blood pressure. So that means absolutely you are correct. There could be an increased chance of you having high blood pressure. You're not wrong. However, the size of that role is minimal, which means 90% or more is lifestyle. Let me tell you something else about genetics. Just because it may be in your genetic code doesn't mean it's guaranteed. That's like, I'm gonna give you a perfect example of this. That's like alcoholism running in someone's family, right? And so someone says, man, my dad was an alcoholic. You know, three of my uncles are alcoholics. Like, you know, my auntie is an alcoholic. So I know alcoholism is more prevalent in my family. But let me ask you the question. What's the chances of that person becoming an alcoholic if they decide to never take a drink? Put the percentage in the chat. My dad was an alcoholic. Three of my uncles were alcoholics. My auntie was an alcoholic, right? So alcoholism runs in my family. But what's the chance of me becoming an alcoholic if I never take a drink? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. It runs in my family. So clearly predisposed. Clearly, my probability is higher than the average person. I have immediate family members who are alcoholics, right? And so it is definitely a chance that I could become an alcoholic. But what's the chances? I'm waiting for the answers to populate in the chat. I'm sure there's probably a delay. But what's the chances of me becoming an alcoholic if, knowing my family history, I never take a drink? Mm-hmm. Good job, Stacy. 0%. 0%. Thank you, Lachey. Thank you, Lachey, Wanda. 0%. If I never take a drink, how could I become an alcoholic? Although I'm more predisposed than the average person. And so if we look at this at high blood pressure, okay, coach, I see what you're saying. This is crystal clear, coach. Even though it runs in my family, once I know that, you're telling me there are choices I can make that can significantly reduce my chances of having high blood pressure. You are correct. You are correct. Okay, so let's look at the things that would increase my chances that I could modify that would decrease my chances, especially if I've decided to believe that my genetics are causing this, okay? All right. So let's start with I'll end on the diet. I want to start with something else first, which is a huge component to high blood pressure that significantly increases the chances for all of us, and that is stress. So before we get into the food and the lifestyle part, I want to park here for 1 second. You guys know very well how passionate I am about eliminating chronic stress. You guys know how much content, classes, and experiences I curate around chronic stress. And so I want to make sure you guys understand how much stress can increase the chances of high blood pressure. So my coach, he talks about this all the time. As a matter of fact, at the end of September, I was in Lansing, Michigan, right? And I was speaking because I was kicking off a week-long health series that we were doing for A Place of Change Ministries. And so when I was speaking, before I spoke at church, at that church that morning, I was talking to my coach, ET, because it's his church, right? And he's like, Lisa, I want you to use me as an example. He was like, tell the people when you teaching the people, right? He was like, you can use my story. He was like, you can use my story because I was so stressed out. He was like, I was so stressed out that I went to the doctor and they told like your blood pressure is high. And he's like, and I know for a fact, Lisa, like I don't eat perfect. He was like, but that wasn't the main cause. It wasn't my diet. He was like, it was running my company. I was so stressed out with the business with that it caused high blood pressure. And I said, I know, coach, I believe you, because he tells his story all the time about just navigating running a multi-million dollar company. And he's like, so use me as an example. When you're teaching stress this week for our church, he's like, use me. He was like, as a result of me eliminating the stress with the company, appointing somebody else as CEO, and us really starting to restructure the company, he was like, my blood pressure is down. I'm feeling a lot better. Like he was like, I had an episode at one point, right? So he's like, use me as an example. And I need you guys to understand, like, this stuff is so real. When I teach stress, and there's on day 4 of our Clarity Lab where I teach stress is a 5-day stress focus group that we do. And we just completed one last week. And so on day 4 of the lab, I literally show people an illustration of how stress can lead to disease. So there is a mechanism for which being stressed out, meaning you have stress hormones flooding your body in an unhealthy amount, those stress hormones can compromise the arteries. Those stress hormones can compromise the vibrational frequency of the body. Those stress hormones can cause cellular damage that essentially leads to a diagnosis of high blood pressure. So the first thing I need you to know, if you have been saying things like this just runs in my family and deciding there's nothing you can do about it because your genetic code dictated that you're going to live with high blood pressure, I need you to understand, number one, that's not true. And number two, you can work your butt off to eliminate chronic stress. You can do it. You can work your butt off to eliminate chronic stress because you now know not only does stress cause high blood pressure, but also I might be genetically predisposed, which means my chances are higher than the average person. And just like somebody who has alcoholism that runs in their family, I need not take a drink. And when we are eliminating chronic stress, that means that because you're going to graduate from a management mindset to an elimination mindset, so eliminating stress to avoid high blood pressure for you might look like I got to make tough decisions. It's going to look like I'm going to have difficult conversations. It's going to have to look like I need to remove myself from situations that clearly I'm not qualified for. That's what ET did. He decided to let somebody else become CEO and run the day of the company. And that's how he relieved himself of the stress of his business. What decisions, as you sit here today, do you need to make to stop managing and start eliminating stress because it is compromising your blood pressure? That's it. I don't want to hear another thing about it just runs in my family. And so you're just going to accept your fate as having a disease and being on medications with a laundry list of side effects for the rest of your life. No, what we're going to do collectively is we are going to start making the tough decisions to restructure our whole life, whether that stress is in a career, business as an entrepreneur, relationships that are unhealthy. That stress can be in your health, it could be in your finances, it can be in your healing, personal development, and personal growth. Where do you need to make decisions so that you can relieve the pressure? This is serious business. This is a silent killer. People are dying every day from high blood pressure caused by stress. And meanwhile, y'all trying to eat salads and drink water, and we got our warm lemon water, and we have our beets, and we have our green teas, and we're trying to eat more fiber, and you are still not addressing the bigger issue. You need to go have difficult conversations. You need to go tell somebody it's over. You need to go put in your letter of resignation. Like, where are you not making a decision that's keeping you stressed out? Where are you not relinquishing control and letting God be God? Like, what's the source of your stress? Because if it's going to stick around, your chances for blood pressure are going to stick around as well. Okay. All right. So that's the first thing. If it runs in your family, there's something you can do, but it's probably going to be work that's harder than what you're used to. Okay. Harder than what you're used to. Now, before I move forward, and I want to end today talking about diet, because diet is a major reason for the over majority of people who are dealing with blood pressure. It's a lifestyle issue, and diet is a major part of that. And so I'm going to tell you guys some things from a dietary perspective that you eat that causes high blood pressure, and how we can start eliminating those things to get that pressure down. We've done it for tons of people over the last decade. We've gotten people off of blood pressure medications. We've got it in remission. We've got dosages reduced. People have went from 3 and 4 pills to down to 1. Like, this thing is really possible, okay? But before I do that, I want to make sure you guys understand the mechanism of how blood pressure kills you, okay? So this is the perfect time um, to talk about mortality, okay? So just in case you don't know exactly what blood pressure is, high blood pressure is, we have all of these arteries that pumps blood and oxygen to and from our heart, right? And all of our organs, right? Every second of every day that we're living, our body is pumping blood and oxygen to and from our major organs, right? Now, high blood pressure means that as the blood is pumping through these arteries, the ease of that determines the pressure. Okay, so that means if your arteries are healthy, that means the opening, let's just do this, the opening for the blood to get through is really big, it's flowing, your blood is flowing like water and not like sludge, like the blood can get through easily, no pressure, right? The opening is big because there's plenty of room, because there's not a bunch of cloggage and calcification. And so you have healthy arteries. The blood pumps through. When you go for a doctor's appointment or you go to a physical or a checkup, they check your blood pressure and they're like, beautiful, beautiful. 120 over 80, 118 over 77, whatever it is. Like, you might be 122 over 82, still fairly good, right? So you're like, man, that means your blood is flowing through your arteries. It's your blood is not too thick and like sludge. Your arteries are opening. It's the perfect red. It's a green flag. It's giving green flag, okay? However, some of us, we go to the doctor and they put that cuff on you and they pump that thing up and the numbers are high, right? And that means that your arteries are not open. They are really, really narrow. And that means it is very little room for your blood to get through. And that means that your body has to apply more pressure to force that blood through the artery. That means that your arteries, the opening is narrow and your blood may be too thick. This is called the viscosity of your blood. When viscosity is high, it's thick. So honey has a high viscosity. When viscosity is low, it's thin. So water has a low viscosity. So the thicker your blood is and the more narrow your arteries are, because they're clogged up from eating and foolishness, drinking foolishness, smoking foolishness, that causes your arteries to be clogged. That means that the blood can't get through easily. So we have to pump harder. We have to apply more pressure. Okay? And so we have to understand that there is something we can do to keep those arteries dilated, keep them opening, and to keep the viscosity of our blood low. And one of the main things we can do is, one, exercise consistently on a regular basis, non-negotiable. I'm talking to a lady at the church yesterday and she's like, the food ain't my problem, it is the exercise. She's like, I really struggle with the exercise. She's like, I don't like exercise so much. She said, I get angry when it's time to exercise. I said, God bless you. She said, I literally get angry. I don't know what it is with me and exercise, but I have a hard time with it. And so, I was empathizing with her because exercise is so necessary. And for many of us, we have been taught that Exercise is optional if we just eat right. Like many of us think like, okay, I can get away with doing less exercise if I try and eat really, really clean. And the fact of the matter is one is not more important than the other. They're equally important for different reasons, right? When people are thinking about their weight though, that's when they decide that if I eat clean, I ain't got to exercise that much. But exercise doesn't just manage your weight. It manages things like your blood pressure. And so the exercise helps to improve the strength and the healthiness of your arteries. So, exercise important, as you guys have already know. No stress, no chronic stress. Important. Acute stress is normal. We're all going to have some stress in our lives, but the chronic stress is what causes high blood pressure because that means those stress hormones are elevated over long periods of time, and that's what begins to damage the arteries. Okay, now the final place that I want to land today is talking about diet and some of the things that we're doing on a regular basis. So we all know about salt. We ain't got to spend a lot of time there. Okay. The other thing, and this is wild for a lot of people, is oil. Okay, so part of the reason for our 30-day vegan SOS-free challenge, we take oil out is because oil damages the arteries. It constricts the arteries. Oil is fat, y'all. So if you eat the whole food like an olive or the flesh of a coconut or an avocado, super healthy. Those are healthy fats. You're chewing the whole food. Okay. So you're getting the complex molecular structure of the food. And people tend to think, well, if I'm eating olive oil, if I'm eating coconut oil, if I'm eating avocado oil, that is the same as eating an avocado, an olive, or a coconut. It's not. We have disrupted the molecular structure of the food, whereby compromising the integrity of the food. And now we're eating something totally different. It is very different to consume a couple tablespoons of oil from consuming a half of an avocado. They are very different. There's a molecular structure is different. So when you just isolate and concentrate the oil, that begins to constrict the arteries, increasing chances of high blood pressure. So part of the reason we're going to be taking oil out of your diet for the month of January is for that reason. We want to start repairing the health of the arteries because some people don't know this, but when you have clogged arteries, y'all, the damage is not necessarily permanent unless that has begun the calcification process. So calcification in the simplest terms means hardening. So there is a point of no return when it comes to damaged arteries. 100%. There is a point of no return. That's why we see things like, bypass surgery so prevalent, right? Triple bypass surgery, right? There is, heart attacks. People kill over and die from clogged arteries, right? So there is a point of no return. However, there is also a point where you can catch it early and you can begin to reverse some of that damage. And we can see the opening of that artery begin to open up and dilate so that the blood can go through. And that can happen if you stop consuming so much oil. Oil is not a health food. Can somebody put that in a chat for me just in case somebody needs to see it in black and white? Oil is not a health food. And I'm not suggesting that you need to be oil free for the rest of your life. You actually don't, right? I consume minimal oil, right? During our challenge, I don't consume any oil with our group as I do the challenge with my team and with our participants. But people who are dealing with high blood pressure or some other type of diagnosis needs to be oil free for a period of time to repair, right? Treatment. That's why we call our challenge treatment, because this is not us just trying to expose you guys to a plant-based diet. This is us really trying to help you put this stuff in remission. And you put it in remission when you stop consuming the things that caused it, not when you minimize the things that caused it. Oil needs to be eliminated for a period of time if you have high blood pressure. Also, if you're overweight, also if you have type 2 diabetes, but we're going to talk about all the rest of that stuff in this lifestyle disease series. For this installment of the lifestyle disease series, episode 3, we're only talking about high blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, guys, I challenge you to do the challenge with us so you can learn recipes, ways of cooking, alternative ways of consuming food that will help you eliminate oil for a period of time so you can stop taking drugs that have crazy side effects. I don't even know why they call side effects. So you can stop taking drugs that have direct effects. Okay? Nothing is innocent. Like these man-made drugs come with other problems. And here's the crazy thing about high blood pressure drugs. I remember learning this a couple years ago, and I was like, what? Did you guys know that in the majority of cases, high blood pressure meds does not lower your blood pressure down to like 120 over 80? Like it doesn't lower it to, it's not like, for a lot of people, they take the med, and while it lowers the blood pressure, it does not lower it all the way down to normal levels, right? You can be taking blood pressure drugs and still have high blood pressure. It's just not as high as it would be if you weren't taking the drugs. I almost threw my whole, I said, what? When I first learned that, because I was talking to somebody and they were like, yeah, my blood pressure averages like 140 something over whatever. And I'm like, well, I thought you were on medications. They was like, oh, I am. That's with medication. And then I started learning this and studying this, and I'm like, you are kidding me. So you mean to tell me I'm not even getting the benefit of it being all the way where it's supposed to be? It's just lower, like it would be 170 over something, but now it's 140 with the med, but it's not 120 where it's supposed to be. Are you kidding me? Like, why wouldn't we just do the harder work of abstaining from the things that's causing it versus being, can I say lazy here without y'all getting offended? Will y'all get offended if I say lazy? Y'all probably will, and it turns out I already said it. Can we do the harder work of abstaining from the stuff? Can we repair our relationship with food and stop being so lazy that we would rather take a pill and keep eating deep fried fish and fries and burgers and smothered stuff? And like, I want to eat that, and I just rather take a pill than just repairing my relationship with food and stop having to have and stop not being able to live without. Why don't we just do the harder work and realize that the stuff, that the man-made pills that we're taking are causing side effects, but the reason we're not afraid of it is because we have been able to live with the dizziness, the nausea, the constipation, the compromised libido, all of these things for years. So because we can live with the side effects, we don't see them as a problem. Blood pressure is a precursor to premature death. How is that not scary AF? Anyway, so what I'm telling y'all is oil is not, I went all the way around the mountain and back to tell y'all that oil is not a health food, okay? So we know salt, but I also need y'all to understand oil. It damages the arteries. The other things that damages the arteries and causes high blood pressure from a dietary standpoint is sugar, refined processed sugar, which we also take out during our 30-day vegan challenge. Smoking damages the arteries. Let me tell y'all something. I'm so childish because literally like every time, like driving down the street, walking down the street, every time I see somebody smoking, I look over in a car next to us on the highway and I see somebody smoking. I'm shocked every time. And I'm like, who still smokes cigarettes? Who? Like, I can't even believe it. We not over this yet. Like, we still, like, smoking cigarettes. Like, smoking cigarettes is so played out. And I just don't understand. I'm like, how are we still on that? How are we still on that? Right? Like, they be putting the most graphic pictures on the front of the package and everything, and we still on that. We still smoking cigarettes. I'm like, what is happening? Like, I just can't handle it. So anyway, smoking, drinking alcohol, eating refined sugar, eating oil, eating salt, eating processed foods, ultra processed foods, blood pressure, blood pressure, blood pressure. You pair that with little to no exercise, you pair that with chronic stress, and you have a recipe for disaster. And again, when our body cannot pump the blood through our arteries, that inevitably causes even more pressure on the body, more pressure on the heart, and we can end up with a heart attack. Like, the number one cause of death in the US, heart disease, is caused is heart attacks, stroke, congestive heart failure. That's the like their heart disease is a cluster of conditions. It's not one thing, right? So heart disease is a cluster of conditions. And so when you have high blood pressure, you are inching your way towards that 7 to 900,000 people that die a year in the United States from heart disease. Like, so when like a black man in my life, when a black woman in my life, when a person in my life has this condition, I don't take it lightly. Like, I don't play these games. Like, I'm not just like, make sure you take your medication, because the medication don't even normalize the thing most of the time. Like, this is serious. So I want you guys to start treating these conditions that people live with for 20 and 30 years as serious as we treat something like cancer, as serious as we treat something like COVID. Like, we need to start seeing it as, whoa, I understand that almost 1 million people die every year from this, and and high blood pressure increases my chances from dying of that too. Okay. Let's get into really quickly what can begin to reverse high blood pressure as we get out of here. So, the reason we do this challenge is, number one, because a plant-based diet is the only dietary protocol that has been proven to not just prevent heart disease, the number one cause of death, but reverse it, right? And so part of the reason for that is because plants are so medicinal. So when I say plants, that's your vegetables, right? So it can be, foliage like a spinach, a kale, arugula, sprouts, right? And then you got your Brussels sprouts. You have your broccoli. Your cruciferous vegetables, your cauliflower. Then you have your nightshades. You got squash. So there's the kingdom, the plant kingdom is so large. So when we do our 30-day vegan challenge, we have you guys eating 2 to 3 cups of vegetables a day, right? So you could put some of those raw in a smoothie or a juice. You can cook them. You can eat a salad. Like, you can have them multitude of ways. They can be mixed into like a chili or a soup. It's very, very easy to get 3 cups of vegetables, right? But part of the reason we do that is because the plants create something called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is medicine for the arteries. So, Lisa, coach, how do we start lowering our blood pressure? You start eating more plants. Literally, when you chew them, right? The digestive process starts in our mouth, not when the food gets in our gut. The digestive process starts in our mouth as we chew the food, right? So when you're chewing food, you begin the process of creating nitric oxide, and that nitric oxide helps the arteries to dilate. What does that mean? The blood pressure can go down because now our blood viscosity is going down and the arteries are opening up more. So the consumption of plants every day is so important. I believe in a plants every damn day protocol, right? And I have for years. And that is because I need my arteries to be healthy. So when I'm running and I'm jogging and I'm doing plyometrics in the gym, but then I'm following that up with multiple servings of plants throughout the day, whether that's in like a green juice or a green smoothie or a raw salad or just a side of veg, right? That is helping to protect the integrity of my arteries, increasing my chances of staying far, far away from blood pressure. Then you have like what's called considered like superfoods for blood pressure, right? You got like your beets, superfoods for blood pressure, right? You have different type of teas. Like, there's so many things that's so healthy. But the problem is, when people want to know about decreasing blood pressure, most people want to know what they can add. And I don't like to I don't like to spend a lot of time there, because what they ignore, sometimes on purpose because it's much harder, is what they need to remove, right? So absolutely, you can add like more beets into your diet. But if you're also treating yourself to fried fish every Friday, if you're also treating yourself to fried foods, if you also cook everything with oil, even if you're not deep frying, but oil goes in the pan for everything, sauteing, roasting, right? You start every meal with a bunch of oil in the pan, right? Everything needs to be, it needs to unstick, throw oil in there, right? Your dressings and your marinades, right? Full of oil. And so when I tell people they need to remove the oil, they just like, can I just eat more beets? Like, you can add stuff to your diet, but if you don't take out the stuff that caused the high blood pressure in the first place, you're not doing that much. I need you guys to understand. So you want to keep eating your sugar, and you want to keep eating the deep fried stuff, and you want to keep the alcohol in your protocol. I'm like, no, You need to do no alcohol for some months. Like no alcohol. And it's hard for people. And so everybody wants to hear what they can add to their regimen, but nobody wants to talk about what needs to be removed. And I'm telling you guys that this stuff needs to come out of your diet, right? And so more plants would be super helpful. Absolutely. Eating more clean, fasting, not eating at all for a number of hours a day. I personally do a 16-hour fast, right? And so it's important, but that's not enough. You also have to do the harder work of stop letting food have more control over you than you have over it. It's just a fact of the matter. Like your potato chips, your snacking, all of that, the salted nuts, the salty and oily potato chips, all your favorite things are aiding in having high blood pressure. And the biggest thing that I want everybody to take away from this is once you're on the medication for blood pressure, it's not enough to moderate your food now. It's not enough to say, okay, I'm just going to do a little less cheese on my potato. I'm going to, just I'm not going to eat a whole bag of chips in one sitting. I'll stretch them out throughout the week. I need you guys to understand that once you're on medication, once you've been diagnosed with the condition, you need to go into a treatment protocol, right? Because saturated fat from animal products, the reason we're doing a plant-based, vegan, salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge, that animal products alone increases blood pressure. The saturated fat that you literally get from meat and dairy clogs your arteries. That's how people die of heart attacks. They can't let go of the burgers and the steaks and the bacon and all of the chicken and all of the fish. Don't think y'all better because y'all do white meat. No, it's full of saturated fat too. The cholesterol that's in your favorite seafood, blood pressure. So when we go into the challenge in January, I don't need you to see it as deprivation. I don't need you to see it as an extreme restriction because Lisa is radical. I need you to see it as treatment. I need you to understand that the little bit of effort you've been putting in, where you reduce the amount of meat you eat, where you reduce the amount of dairy you take in, where you reduce your sugar, where you reduce all your salty and oily snacks, is not working. You are not working towards elimination. You are on a management protocol. So if you want to manage blood pressure for another 15 or 20 years, keep it up. Go ahead and say, I only treat myself to fried fish once a month. If you are enjoying your management protocol, I'm not mad at you. What I get upset with is when you expect something to be eliminated, but you're following a management protocol. Moderation is a management protocol. Elimination requires abstinence. That's the thing I want everybody to understand. You are going to have to stop consuming this foolishness for a while so that we can get you off the meds completely, and then we can entertain what management of your new lifestyle can afford you to have. But some of us are so addicted to food that we don't have the willpower, we don't have the discipline, we don't have the sense of urgency to stop eating. You don't need another sleeve of cookies, you don't need another potato chip, you don't have to have a glass of wine every time you're irritated. It's your birthday, you don't deserve alcohol. You got high blood pressure. You got rid of all that I deserve many pills ago. Many blood pressure cuffs ago. What is you doing? You don't deserve it. You haven't earned it. You're not entitled to it. You have to repair your relationship with food. You have to repair your relationship with exercise. You have to reconfigure your relationship with stress in order to truly get rid of this disease, which we have done for a ton of people. So I know it's possible. So as I sip my lukewarm tea, I just want you guys to know it's possible. I want you guys to know that this condition is just as urgent as any other disease. And I want you to stop thinking that the way to go about it is to take a pill on time every day. How about take a plant on time every day? Like the same day that you pop your pills, why don't you try chewing a plant so that you can create that nitric oxide and start repairing your arteries from the inside out, as opposed to taking a man-made pill that was formulated in the lab that comes with side effects that they don't even hide from you, but you just decided that it's worth it so you can continue to eat steak and shrimp and lobster and cheese and butter. What? You let a man tell you that I'm about to give you something that is going to potentially cause more damage in your body, But if you take this, it's going to help you to manage the other disease I gave you when I fed you the food. And you just saying, okay, thank you, I accept. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. We got to work on relationships better. Because if anybody else try and hand you something that's toxic for you, you would not take red flag, red flag, red flag. But when it comes to your relationship with your body, you just like, I mean, them red, I mean, coach, they mean, are they red though? Y'all be over there like, I mean, they kind of mean burgundy. It's like a light pink coat. Like y'all be trying to negotiate the red flag. I'm like, it's killing you, sis. It's killing you, bro. Yeah, but like, so I can't have just a little bit. Okay, coach. Like, what about grapeseed oil? Y'all be trying to negotiate red flags. I ain't never seen nothing like it. I ain't never seen nothing like it. So we gotta do better. Y'all gotta do better with what y'all eat, y'all lifestyle, and I gotta do better with judging y'all. Okay. Listen, this has been our third installment in our lifestyle disease series as we are in the run up to our next 30-day vegan salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge. If you aren't already, click the link that's pinned in the comments to get registered. Then copy it and send it to 3 people that got high blood pressure. You know who they are. You're thinking about them right now. Probably your partner and 2 of your cousins. Go ahead, copy the link and tell them, I just found the person who was about to make sure we have many more years together. That don't tell them nothing about blood pressure. See, here where y'all be messing up. Don't share the link to the challenge and then tell them they about to give up salt, oil, sugar, meat, eggs, dairy, and seafood. No, no, no. Share the link to the challenge and tell them I just met the person that's going to ensure we get to have 20 more summers together. That needs, see, y'all sharing the link wrong. Y'all scaring people before they even get over here. Let me scare them when they get in the room. Because once I hook them, I got them. So listen, take the link, share it. Share it with your friends and family who are dealing with high blood pressure, obesity, high cholesterol, food addiction, depression, anxiety, and chronic stress. Share the link with them to join the 30-day vegan challenge. But don't say nothing crazy about what they about to do and what they can expect and how hard it's going to be. Just tell them, I just met the person that's going to ensure we get 25 more summers together. That's all you need to say and make it make sense. Y'all be selling it wrong. You know what? I'm going to do a masterclass on how to sell. I'm going to do a masterclass on how to sell so we can all be better. So we can, Lisa, I told my husband about the challenge, but he don't want to do it. Why? Because you told him that the sleeve of cookies he was eating was going to be his last sleeve. Don't nobody want to hear that. So y'all be selling wrong. So I'm going to do a masterclass on how to sell so we can save more lives. Because y'all my co-pilots in this. And so if you want your homie, your mother, your father, your bestie to do better, then y'all got to sell it right. Okay. So share the link with somebody who needs to see it. Listen, I'm in Atlanta for a couple more days. I reached out to a couple clients so I can meet up with them. I'm here to have a good time. So y'all go somewhere and tell Atlanta to get this weather up. Get this weather up so I can enjoy myself I got a little more business while I'm here before I head back home. But I will see you guys back here next Monday. Listen, I haven't decided what the topic is going to be next Monday. I got like 3 that I'm vacillating between for the next installment in this lifestyle disease series. We're doing this lifestyle disease series every Monday here live on YouTube, 10 a.m. EST from now until January for the kickoff of our challenge. And so I'm thinking we might mess around with some type 2 diabetes. We might do some, I don't know. I got a couple conditions that I want to, maybe some autoimmune. I don't know. We'll talk about it. I love all this stuff. I love all the science. And so we'll figure it out. We'll talk about it next Monday. But make sure you're back here for installment number 4 of our lifestyle disease series in the run up to the next plant protocol 30-day vegan salt, oil, and sugar free challenge, also known as 20 more summers. Y'all know what I'm saying? We're going to rename the challenge, Kiwi. Put that in the notes, okay? We're going to rename the challenge so people will stop being scared on the registration page. And I'll be doing this challenge alongside my good friend, John Lewis, also known as the Badass Vegan. So ladies, I know for a lot of us, it's very hard to get our men into experiences like this. And so we're going to have some men who are going to be speaking at the challenge during the month of January. So John Lewis is one of them. He's been a vegan for over 20 years, and he's going to tell his story. He's also the director of the film They're Trying to Kill Us. And then the pastor of the church that I spoke at yesterday, I asked him, I was like, I would love to have you speak at our challenge in January as well. He has a dope testimony. Like I'm talking, it started with prostate cancer and it ended with being 60 pounds down, vegan. Like this pastor is dope, y'all. So I'm trying to get him to come kick it with us in January for the challenge. Like, so the men are going to be represented heavily. I know Trevor is on right now. I think Jeffrey might still be on. And so we got the men that have done this work. They're living plant-based lifestyles. And so I want to make sure our Black men, our Black husbands, our Black sons, our Black brothers and uncles are protected, because Black men are disproportionately suffering from high blood pressure. And so we're going to save some lives, right? So it's just not enough to add stuff. We got to remove some stuff. And I know the removing is the harder part. So let's all work collectively to save one another. So thank you in advance to every single person who's sharing the link to the challenge. Just know when you bring the men in, they will be represented in January, and we're going to have a good time together, and we're going to save some lives, because I'm non-negotiable about it. Okay. Thank you, Wanda, for giving your takeaway in the chat. Wanda said, red flag is my takeaway. Yes. We all trying to have healthy relationships whilst ignoring the relationship with our body that done gave us about 18 red flags. Like your weight done went up, your knees been hurting, headaches, constipation. You got to take a scoop or something just to go to the bathroom. Like red flag, red flag, red flag. Like I don't understand why we ignore all these red flags. It's crazy. It's crazy. And then be like moderation. Like what? You can't even afford moderation, sis. You sick. Moderation is for somebody who already healthy and can afford a potato chip or two. You done overstayed your welcome with the potato chips. Y'all know what I'm saying? Anyway, but I'm about to get better. Okay. Thank you. Stacy said her takeaway was stop the management mindset. Yes, absolutely. Listen, Dr. Marcus says a healthy relationship with food is the goal. That's it. That's it. We got to improve our relationship with food. Y'all so good. Any more takeaways before I hop off of here? Any more takeaways before I hop off, y'all? I would love to hear them, because I was waxing deep for a long time today. I don't know how I got in my bag and got crazy. Any more takeaways? This is so good. Y'all smash that like button. Thank you to Jeffrey who put that on here earlier. Yes, yes, Jeffrey, me too. Jeffrey said the amount of people, doctors and nurses that I see daily who smoke really blows my mind. 100%. Like, I'm not going to hold you. Every time I see somebody still smoking a cigarette, I be like, what era are they living in? Like the 50s, the 60s, the 70s? Like, what era are they living in? Like, we still on cigarettes? That's crazy. Um, Shout out to Angie. Angie says, takeaway, do the hard work, don't be lazy. Okay. Amen. Like the hard work of eliminating chronic stress. We can't be playing with this thing, y'all. Um, let's see. Oh, shoot. Dr. Marcus says, I will message you about how I became an accidental vegan thanks to you. Come on now. Ain't nothing like stumble upon a plant-based lifestyle, accidentally adding 20 years to your life. You know what I'm talking about? That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Dr. Marcus. Definitely email me. I would love to hear your story. I would love to hear your story. And if you're going to be in a challenge with us, I would love to tell your story during the month of January, because people really, really need to hear success stories, and people need possibility models, and people need evidence that it's real and that it's possible. So we're going to have the men on, telling their stories about their transformations. We're going to have the ladies on. And so thank you guys for all of you who are willing to be a possibility model for other people in the room who are just not believers yet, because they've been managing these conditions for so long that it's hard to be a believer. So I love y'all for that. I love y'all for that. So thank y'all for hopping on today. I'm going to finish up my stay in the A. And I will see you guys back here next Monday, the week of Thanksgiving. Ooh, next week is the week of Thanksgiving. Okay, I need to pick a topic that's going to scare the heck out of y'all. Okay, bet. Okay, say less. Next Monday, and don't be trying to run from me either. Next Monday, I'm going to be back here so I can talk some sense into y'all, so y'all can eat like y'all got some sense for Thanksgiving this year. It should be a good time. It should be a good time. Let's go. April said, I just turned 50 and I want 50 more summers. Let's go. I'm bringing 2 friends to the plan protocol. Listen, it ain't no fun if my friends, you know what I'm saying? You know the words. Ain't no fun if my friends, come on, you better bring, because how we going to have good summers and our friends ain't here to enjoy them with us? You know what I mean? So super important. Yeah. Shout out to Josh. Josh said, it's just too late to say I can eat just one. I'm telling you, because just one done turned into 50 million and now we got high blood pressure. But I digress. Okay. And I can just eat 50 million. You cannot. Right. And you don't know what a bar is, because addiction is built into the food. So you don't know how to stop, because they made sure that you wouldn't know how to stop. Child, let me tell you. Michelle said, my takeaway was some science. She says digestion starts in the mouth, and does. Absolutely. Absolutely, it does, right? So when we start breaking down that food, that's when we start creating those healthy gases like nitric oxide. That's going to help our arteries dilate. So this whole thing, our whole body is a chemistry lab, and if we do right by it, we could all get 50 more summers. Here's the 50 more summers, y'all. I'll see y'all next Monday. Love y'all. Bye.